The boss of Sydney Airport won't rule out close.
Not received any direct government
has been severely restricted for weeks now.
Shall be suspended beginning
March 12. Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte announced a halt on domestic land, sea and air travel to and from Manila, as well as community quarantine measures in what he called a lockdown of the capital to arrest the spread of COVID-19. He approved a resolution to allow a raft of containment measures, including bans on mass gatherings, months of school closures, and quarantining in communities where cases are detected, as well as stopping domestic travel in and out of Manila. Since June, domestic flights have slowly reopened to cater to the locally stranded individuals, or LSIs. So, what is it like traveling during the global pandemic? One word: stressful.
about $220 million over the next 12 months to cover those essential government services.
Aviation was one of the first industries into this crisis, and it will be one of the last out.
3 to 4 years before we're getting back to the sort of passenger numbers that we expected last year.
This travel into Canada has been severely restricted for weeks now, but even so, more than 200,000 international travelers have arrived in this country since March 23rd when borders were tightened. So are international travelers still contributing to the spread of COVID-19? For more on that, we're joined by Dr.
land, domestic air and domestic sea travel to and from Metro Manila shall be suspended beginning March 15, 2020 and to end on April 14, 2020.
World health officials this morning are reporting the first coronavirus death outside of China. A man from Wuhan, China, has died in the Philippines.
Hey everyone, so today is my last night here in Metro Manila. After 7 months of waiting, I am finally going home tomorrow, first thing in the morning. My flight leaves Manila around 5 in the morning, and in this video I'm going to show you around what it feels like traveling during the global pandemic. I'm going to discuss the things that you need to do, some of the required documents before flying, because as we all know, leisure travel is still not allowed here in the Philippines, but I am so fortunate that the main office granted us a month of leave. So I'm excited. Days prior to my trip, I have already secured my barangay medical clearance and the police travel authority, both in Pasay City, where I work. These two documents are very important since you can't enter the terminal without these, apart from your ticket. My good friend drove me to NAIA Terminal 3 via NAIA X at around 2:30 in the morning. Before the COVID era, traffic would still be horrendous even at this ungodly hour. However, there was only us at the Skyway, almost completely deserted. Normally, there would be a lot of people queuing since this is one of the busiest hours of the airport. Today, however, it was eerily quiet, with only an occasional noise coming from a few passengers dragging their push carts who were also waiting for their respective flights. Guests are mandatorily asked to check in online as part of the airline's contactless procedure. However, the line at the bag drop counters was so long. It took me almost an hour before I can finally proceed to the pre-departure area. But I am not complaining at all. This is all for everyone's safety.
Alright, so this is the new normal. I have to wear mask and face shield. It's mandatory. And the airport is really quiet. Normally it's a very busy hour. At 3 in the morning, where all first flights to the major cities in the Philippines would fly. So, this is kind of weird.
Your attention please. Everyone is required to wear a face shield and face mask inside the terminal premises. Thank you. To all passengers, please observe physical distancing.
So the queue to the bag drop takes a very long time, but this is the new normal. Can't do anything about it. So I'm going to the pre-departure area, final x-ray, so here we go. So way back before this global pandemic, this area used to have a lot of people either waiting for their flight or just enjoying their food and coffee. But it's really sad to see that a lot of stores here in this part of the terminal are closed. So I know that the future of aviation is bleak, but can't do about it.
It was rather a full Airbus 330 flight to Davao. The boarding procedure was modified, making the waiting time longer than the usual. We finally took off Manila at around 6:30 in the morning, at least 30 minutes behind our scheduled departure. Snacks weren't offered on board except for bottled water at 50 pesos. This is the reason to minimize the exposure of both crew and passengers on board. The air inside the cabin is rather sterile as it is equipped with HEPA filters. This filter captures 99.9% of particles, including viruses. The cabin air generally passes through the filters 20 to 30 times per hour, making it safe and clean. Upon arrival at Davao, we were required to fill out forms for our health declaration cards. This is to ensure that the contact tracing would be easier in case someone's infected. Those who have already taken the RT-PCR exam within the last 72 hours are only allowed to exit the airport terminal. I, on the other hand, opted for the free swab test of the local government of Davao. The Bureau of Quarantine reiterated the procedures during and after the swab test. They told us that the results will come out in the next 8 to 12 hours, so we need to be held at a temporary holding facility until our negative COVID-19 result comes out. They also highlighted the importance of the 14-day home quarantine. All passengers are required to inform the respective barangay leaders about their arrival. Okay, so just a quick review of the timeline. So I arrived at Davao around 7:30 in the morning, and since I didn't have any RT-PCR exam, we were requested to proceed to the pre-departure area where our food is waiting for breakfast. We were 300 plus who were still waiting for the swab test, and there were only like 5 med techs on duty during that time, so the process was really slow. This is the new normal procedure during the global pandemic, so I just did nothing but to wait and to read all the guidelines regarding the 14-day home quarantine here in Davao City. After a few hours, we were called to the arrival hall where the baggage claim or the baggage conveyor belt is located. So as we went there, we were screened again. The Bureau of Quarantine staff took the body temperature. So after that, we claimed our bags, and before we get out of the airport terminal, we need to sign again these forms. You need to fill out those personal information such as your name, address, phone number, and also email address. Also after that, at around 10:07 in the morning, I had my swab test. It was really uncomfortable. The first thing they did was the throat swab. It was really awkward and uncomfortable at the same time because I have this gag reflex or something. But I'm thankful that the nose swab test was not as uncomfortable as what I expected. Maybe because the medtech on duty that time was really good. The whole process didn't last for more than a minute, but you know, the agony of waiting starts from that moment. So I was assigned at the temporary holding facility just right across the terminal building. Now, I was supposed to shoot videos and photos inside, but before we went inside the tent, the coordinator told us that taking photos and videos inside the temporary holding facility area is strictly prohibited. So as a law-abiding citizen, I chose to obey the rules. So I'll just tell you a story about it. But anyway, so at around 11-ish, they started serving lunch. The food was okay, so we went inside this huge tent. It is air conditioned, thank God. So when I went there, it was a huge tent. So I was assigned in this room. What you see inside is just the basic one. There's a bed. The dimension was quite small. I think it's 4 meters by 2 meters, or more or less. That's the dimension of the quote-unquote room. So it has a bed, a pillow, and a blanket. Bathroom, which is connected to the room, it was basic. It has a toilet bowl with flush, of course, but there's no shower. So naturally, the temporary holding facility is only designed for people to wait for maybe or less 12 to 18 hours inside. I was expecting that the results would come out the following day, or even the earliest would be around midnight. So after eating my lunch, I just slept the whole day because I was sleep deprived during that time. But when I woke up around 5:30, they started to serve dinner. Actually, they gave 2 meals, so I was thankful for it. So just to kill time, I just browsed the social media and updated my friends about what's currently happening to me. The first 12 hours was pretty much okay. I didn't experience any inconveniences or whatnot. The following day, I woke up around 8 or 9 in the morning, and I was expecting to receive an email from the diagnostic center. I didn't receive anything from them, not even a text message. I just even went to the spam mailbox just to make sure that I received an email, but I didn't hear anything from them. So I was started to get anxious about the results, although I know that I'm COVID-19 negative. You know, the agony of waiting is really taking its toll on my mental psyche. So around 12 noon, I started to feel anxious. I was expecting that I'd be home for like 4 or 5 in the afternoon. But going back, a lot of my friends told me that the results might be longer than the anticipated time frame. So I was kind of expecting to wait for another 12 to 24 hours. But I told myself that I can no longer spend another night here at the temporary holding area. I haven't taken a bath yet. I started to feel irritated, annoyed, and at the same time, afraid. I don't know. I am a strong person. That time, it actually took a toll on my mental psyche and fortitude. So I didn't want to spend another night there. So a friend of mine sent a mobile number of the diagnostic center. So I am this type of person who really hates phone calls, most especially if I'm going to initiate a phone call, because I really hate phone calls. But I have no choice but to talk to them and ask about some updates regarding my test results. And thank God, around 7:30 in the evening, that they told me they have finally got the results of the swab test and it's negative. I went outside the tent and found the numbers of the coordinators of the tent of the holding facility. So I texted them that, hey, I got my results from the diagnostic center, and told me that I'm free to go. They also told me that you can go outside and wait for further instructions. So I packed my things and went outside, and I called my dad to fetch me in the next 20 minutes. So during the debriefing, I signed another document, and they also reiterated the importance of the 14-day home quarantine. The experience was pretty much okay. However, when it comes to acquiring their test results, at their part, they're not super proactive, but I really appreciate the local government of Davao of having a free test, because the swab test costs around 4,500 to 13,000 pesos, so that's roughly $90 to $250. For a regular Filipino, that's really, really expensive. From what I've heard, I think they're going to open another diagnostic center, which they actually aim for the test results to come out after 2 hours. So if you're planning to go home to Davao, and if you want to skip all those lengthy processes, I advise you to take the RT-PCR exam if you have the money or if you have the resources. Otherwise, you can just avail the free swab test upon arrival, but you have to wait for, let's say, 24 to 36 hours. Today is the 18th day of September 2020, and officially I can go outside my home, but I'm still hesitant to go outside. I really don't want to take risks. They say that you only live once, but taking this risk from an invisible enemy, not worth it. super not worth it. So if you don't have any businesses, if you're going to engage in non-essential activities outside, I advise you to just stay at home. Unless if it's an essential activity such as groceries, or if you want to buy medicines and stuff, or if you're one of the frontliners, then you can obviously go out. But if you just want to go out leisurely, no, today's not the right time. Today is actually a bad moment to just travel around. I'm just thankful that the central office gave us a month of leave, because the last time I went home was around the second week of February this year. It was really tough. You know, the things that we do before, it's really different today. So these are my experiences traveling from Manila to Davao during the COVID-19 pandemic. It's really stressful, but I am so thankful that I'm finally here at home. So if you have any questions, you can just type that at the comment section down below. And for more videos like this, don't forget to click the like and subscribe button and the notification bell so that you'll be the first one to know that I have any content here on YouTube. So I think that's it. Stay safe, everyone. Stay at home, and I'll see you guys around. Bye.
More than 200,000 international travelers have arrived in this country since March 23rd, when borders were tightened. So are international travelers still contributing to the spread of COVID-19? For more on that, we're joined by Dr. Christopher Modi. He's the head of Department of Microbiology.
About $220 million over the next 12 months to cover those essential government services.
Aviation was one of the first industries into this crisis, and it will be one of the last out.
3 to 4 years before we're getting back to the sort of passenger numbers that we expected last year.